For this run, I had originally written a little intro talking about the nature of historical arguments for and against slavery, ranging from Aristotle's politics to Andrew Jackson's ambivalence towards it. But you know what? Screw all that high-minded nonsense. This is a meme Victoria 3 playthrough where I wanted to make my American slaves have as high a standard of living as possible, and in so doing, I also wanted to create the ultimate cotton-based economy, so as to best make use of those slaves. I really enjoy these dual goal playthroughs because it means if one aspect of the run kind of falls flat, there's another aspect to rely on. And let me tell you, this build was a lot of fun to both plan and implement. With that, we skip through the overlong intro and get right into the game. This is the most humanist slaver America you'll ever see. I think it's pretty common that we see like players, they focus on like Carnegie and various companies that are indeed very, very powerful. But there's actually a set of companies, I'm not going to spoil it because I want you to see it get revealed how ridiculous this place is going to get as we go. There's a set of companies you can stack up to make a really, really powerful textile industry. And it all kind of starts with the Lee Wilson company, if I can find it. But like, this is a good company, right? It gives you prestige cotton, and that's great and all. And as America, of course, you have a lot of cotton available to you, and it even gives a textile mill building throughput bonus. Great. But there's more we can do to create even better textiles. In this game, the plan is going to be to see how far we can send the standard of living through the roof. Because, in case you didn't know, kind of the way that you stack like nearly infinite, I guess, not nearly infinite, but the way you get a lot of standard of living is by building consumer economies, because they make a lot of jobs, and they also make goods that your pops can then buy with the high wages of their jobs. So we're going to focus basically entirely on the consumer economy, specializing in textiles, and maybe we'll find some, some other furniture to make or something like that. We'll figure that part out later, but for now it's going to be going with the Lee Wilson and Company, and we're going to do it using, I'm thinking probably slavery. We're going to see how it pans out, but if we look at a cotton plantation down here, you can see that for some reason, they really should change this by the way, for some reason you start the game using the standard labor button, but violent treatment makes you produce 20 more cotton without adding any inputs or workers. It's the same workers, it's the same inputs, you just treat them terribly and lower their wages and stuff, but keep in mind that like you already make 45, so you're adding 20 more, which is like almost 50% more. It's kind of crazy. So we're going to go through our buildings and just set everything to be using this production method, this violent treatment production method. At the time that I recorded this, I hadn't yet decided on the whole giving the slaves a high standard of living idea, as I had my mind set on the super textile build. Nonetheless, the two goals go hand in hand to a pretty large extent. We're going to immediately go for a conquest of Suzhou. And the reason why we need to do it like immediately is because we actually are looking to incorporate the state so that we can like get the company that is there. And it's going to be difficult to do that since it's a very foreign land to us. So we have to like conquer it now and then spend the next 20 years incorporating it, unfortunately. Here's what else I want from them. A treaty port would be kind of nice, but like we could get the Hong Kong treaty port and just rob England of it. But instead, how about we get the one in Shandong, so that way it's like we don't go to a historical. I don't know, it feels weird to take it the one in Hong Kong, because that's like Britain's one, you know? Now, I could also grab money off of them, and this is an interesting strategy. Like, just getting a bunch of money off of Chain can be a very nice start to your campaign, but it's a lot of infamy, and we have to do quite a bit of conquest, so I think I'd rather not. In terms of our army, we're going to conscript up a little bit, because we're going to try to fight China, but it's going to be it's going to be difficult to defeat them easily. I say that, but, you'd be surprised how easy it is, because they have that big negative to their units from the opium addiction, so we shouldn't have too much difficulty. But I'm going to conscript up maybe like an additional 30 guys. That looks good. They only have 5 defense, so I'm pretty sure that just off the basis of how, like, the disparity between our stats, we should have a relatively easy time winning. We do need to wait for those navies to get built, but it shouldn't take too long. Looks like the British are now invading China as well. So they're sending 21 units only, and they're probably going to win. But I think actually what we can do is, let's just cut down a little bit on our units. Let's go down to like 30 instead of, all these units, and let's just do our invasion into Beijing. I'm sure if the British can get away with 20, we can get away with 30. That is the nice thing about conscripts, is that they're easy to make, but they're also easy to get rid of, so if you need to shrink or increase size of your army, it's not a big deal. And once we land, we have to immediately go on the defensive, because we don't want to risk like losing battles and stuff. Although I say that, but maybe we can actually win the war a bit faster if we let them fight, and it looks like the advantage is kind of in our favor, so sure, whatever. Yeah, okay, looks like it's going fine. They're probably having trouble splitting troops between me and Britain as well, so it's making it even easier for us. Can I end the war a little bit early? Not quite. That's alright. One thing we could do, actually, is we could just not take the humiliate, because to be honest with you, it's like, we don't really need the humiliation, but, like, I was gonna say there's a chance they might become a minor power, but the weird thing about humiliation is that it gives minus 25% prestige for 5 years, that's what 60 months is, but the truce is 5 years. So if you intend to use humiliations to potentially, like, make someone a protectorate because they become a minor power, it's kind of pointless. So actually we're not gonna humiliate, let's just get out of this war and save our money. There we go, now we have our treaty port in Qingdao, and we have control of Suzhou. We immediately need to incorporate this. And we're going to run into a problem where this bureaucracy says it's employed, but they're going to get kicked out of here because the workforce is not tolerated enough, although apparently they are. This is going to change, yeah, that'll go away soon. But yeah, we're going to need a lot of bureaucracy to actually incorporate Suzhou. Regardless, that's the first step of the playthrough, is just getting control of that state. Now in terms of getting slave trade, the abolitionists are getting more and more upset, it looks like. But I think we can get their support down if we pass like censorship, which I do kind of want for the authority anyway. Let's pass this, and then that will help us to even further decrease their support. Even if we do have to fight a civil war against the abolitionists, we can definitely just like win. You know, it's not that big of a deal. There's nationalism. So when you get nationalism, you can click the this button over here, Manifest Destiny, and I think I'm gonna wait to click it till we have less infamy, just so we spend less time over 25. It's like there's no reason to rush clicking the button, right? We can annex Texas for free once they like us enough, so we'll just wait for that. One reason why it's actually kind of a good idea to delay the conquest of all these states or Mexico is that right now we're both colonizing. So when we take the state, the infamy cost is not going to get much higher based on the fact that like Mexico owns more of the state. So letting them do some of the colonization means that overall we colonize a little bit faster. But again, it's just like such a tiny optimization that nobody should care about. Speaking of which, I should be colonizing Texas. I didn't even realize I wasn't. And the budget's looking a little bit scary, but to be honest with you, I can just raise taxes if I really want to. I'm thinking though that our budget will sort of get fixed as we increase our GDP, but we'll see what happens. Here comes the next election. Looks like that we get a much bigger Democrat victory here, which is good. That'll help us with getting slave trade. Again, though, are there any other presidents we might want? No, there's not really anyone. I'm going to add a migration decree down to Alabama. So Alabama is a state that has iron, coal, and lumber, which makes it actually like surprisingly good. It also has a lot of arable land, so we can see a lot of migration come down here if we set this up right. In fact, there's already migrants coming down, but probably not a lot until we get more cultural communities here. We'll have to see. It would be very nice if a Han cultural community could spawn, because we have no migration controls. So any Han pops from over here, they could potentially leave into America if a cultural community spawns, which is just a random chance. Also, we have 0 infamy now, so we're going to click Manifest Destiny. There we go, that way we don't go over 25, which means our subjects won't get upset at us. I say that as if it really matters. We have, like, no living desire issues at all, so nothing to worry about, but still. Something which I completely forgot to do, but later remembered, was of course making a power block. And naturally, as I was looking to make a crazy textile industry, I gave it a rather appropriate name. This is what we're going to call it. We're going to call this because the is already appended to your power block whenever you make one. We're going to call it the League of Fashionistas. Because, you know, we're going for that sick fashion. Now, let's see if we can get something elegant going on here. This guy looks kind of fashionable, I think. Give him a nice top hat, of course. And he can hold, let's see. I guess he can hold a parasol because he needs to keep his clothes from getting rained on. In his other hand, he can have, yeah, a gun. Why not? Sure, you know. I guess it makes sense. This is going to be our dapper gentleman to represent the American fashion way. The gun actually feels quite appropriate when considering that the other facet of this run is based around slavery. Unintentionally passing the vibe check, for real. Let's go ahead and confirm that. And then let's found this power block. Doesn't that look beautiful? Doesn't that look beautiful? In terms of other laws, since we're waiting, by the way, we have a jingoist in the armed forces. I'd like to grab colonial exploitation right now because it's kind of hard to get this. And we can even get the southern planters to get more power by giving them political concessions. So we're going to do that. And that way we can actually colonize in places like Africa. Because otherwise, you're going to be stuck on frontier colonization for a long time as America because your rural folk are so strong. Now, just getting more power block mandates, we need more subjects. And maybe we can grab parts of South America in a little while, but I think for now we're just not going to worry about it too much. Here comes the cotton in Arkansas, which we can use to make our company. There we have 5, so now we should be able to found the Lee Wilson and Company. There it is. Let's do that. Excellent. So it's run by Executive Perry Taylor, a slaver, just what we wanted. Does he have good traits? Ambitious is good. Okay. And let's rename this company after a beloved channel member. This is going to be Alexander, the Greatest Cotton, after one of our beloved channel members, of course. And he's gonna this company's gonna be very pivotal to our build because of the prestige cotton. I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Let's give them a monopoly on cotton, of course, and maybe like we can give them investment rights. We don't really have anyone to invest in right now, but still. We do have another company slot, but I'm gonna save these slots for our various textile-based companies. I think at this point, I'd like to try passing the slave trade. Let's go for it. We can even negotiate with the armed forces to make it even more likely. Yeah, secret police next. That sounds good. So here comes slave trade. We might end up having to fight a civil war, but with only 8% support, I get the feeling they're not going to be too... Oh, they're not even that activist. Oh, wow, okay. They're not even at 100, they're only at 84%. And yeah, see how tiny that is. This would be very easy to defeat. Although they would take New York, and we built a lot there, so that'd be a big pain, but it wouldn't be like we would lose the war or anything. Anyway, with our infamy getting pretty low, I think it's time that we attack Mexico. We're gonna do that, and it looks like no one's gonna get involved, so it should be easy. If we ever get to the war, we don't have to make any extra primary goals, so no extra infamy. And now we could just let our investment pool get drained a little bit because we kind of have a bit of debt, and I want to lose that debt. So I'm gonna build a lot of construction sectors up in New York, not with the intention of building more myself, but just letting the investment pool get used. And there's slave trade. So this will allow us to bring in more slaves for usage in our violent treatment cotton plantations, and in fact it doesn't let us use standard labor anymore, which is kind of funny. You have to be mean once you get slave trade. The unfortunate thing is that the slavery debate will never end unless you actually ban slavery, or get a civil war, I guess. So we just kind of are stuck here with this journal entry forever, but it doesn't do anything, so it's no big deal. But it looks like I didn't actually occupy Utah, the natives did, so might have a funny situation happen here where we don't actually get control of it. We'll have to see though. It doesn't matter because we'll just colonize it back either way, but there we go. Now you are probably still in the play with Mexico, but there's no war goal, so hopefully Mexico will just get out of the war eventually. Oh, and Alexander the Greatest Cotton is producing Sea Island cotton, that's good. So do we want to give a special name to this prestige good? Thinking what we would call it if we do want to give it a name. Like Sea Island cotton is a real thing. This is like a real commodity. We could just give it a new name. Something like, if I'm memeing, call it something like ethical cotton. You know? Something like that. Let's call it that. Sure. And at this point, I'd like to probably focus on conquering Pernambuco for that other company. So, then we just gotta go for it here. Britain is pretty likely to join, but to be honest, we could just hold the British off for a while, or we can try to get involved in a play that Britain takes a side on. Regardless of if we have the textile company or not, we can just get started on making textile mills anyway, and I think we should do it in Alabama. There is, like, you know, cotton here, so it's a good place to start. There are not dyes, though. I guess actually maybe like one of these states over here would be better. Sure, we can build it up in Macon, the Macon textile mills, why not, right? Let's do that. So let's actually set then our migration decree away from here and here. Let's go down here instead. And maybe turn off road maintenance, gear maintenance here. We're going to start building up the south now. And it's going to be a while till this place actually has enough people in it to reasonably like employ all this stuff. But we're also going to be bringing in slaves, so that might help. Also, we just lost our treaty port in China. Oh, because of the Heavenly Kingdom uprising. That's annoying, because now we just have this state. It's no longer a treaty port. Oh, I guess it still is. Okay. Interesting. And now, okay, there you go. Now it's American Shandong. So there goes our treaty port, but we can always get another one. I wonder, do I want to support the Heavenly Kingdom here? Do you still have your debuffs? They do. I think we do actually want the Heavenly Kingdom to win. So we're going to support the Heavenly Kingdom. This is because Heavenly Kingdom uses the no migration controls law, which means that they're going to be willing to let their pops leave. And that means that they can leave into my country, of course. More importantly, it's possible, now they're already a major power, I was going to say they might be a minor power upon winning the war, then we can maybe just immediately make them into a protectorate. I think with enough conscription we can win. We'll see. We do have a Pawnee uprising, but I'm just going to quickly make a new army and just give it like Here's like a couple infantrymen, whatever. Take some lancers too. There you go. And you guys can go and fight. It's funny to see like Civil War era generals like James Longstreet, like we saw before. They're like fighting in China because they're supposed to be fighting, you know, the Civil War and all that. But imagine them, they would have, if there was no Civil War, they would probably still have their military careers, right? And of course, that would probably result in them fighting in other wars, such as the wars in China that we're doing here. And China's about to be annexed. There's not a minor power. That's unfortunate. Okay. Heavenly Kingdom, secure. Very nice. And we can even be friends. I mean, the nice thing is that if they're going to give me trade privileges, like, you know, then it's fine if we don't have a treaty port. We can just be good friends. Although, do they have they might have isolationism. They do. Okay, well, we might need to open their market then. But they're probably too strong for us to defeat because they don't have the negative modifiers. In fact, they have like a lot of positive modifiers. So, yeah, we need to. I think we have to just like be friends and hope that they maybe pass a good law eventually. At this point, how close are we to integrating Suzhou? Because this is what we need for the silk company. 9 years, okay, not bad. The company we're aiming for, by the way, is the only, well, not the only. I was gonna say there's actually several prestige silk companies, but there's the thing is most of them are much harder to access. So if we look at the list of companies, this one is what we're looking for, the Jiangnan Weaving Bureaus. The nice thing about it, it gives you authority, which is actually quite good. Authority is a rare resource to come by. But it's that it's accessible to most people, because the one for Tomioka silk over in Japan requires you to do the honorable restoration journal entry. And since only Japan can do that journal entry, it means only Japan can make that company, in essence. There's also prestige silk up in here in Lombardy, but that's a lot more of a pain in the ass to get to than just like one state on the coast of China. So that's why we like to have this one. Here come our textile mills. They should do pretty well because we're going to have really, really cheap cotton. Do we want to make luxury clothes? I guess we do, yes. We do have access to silk because we have parts of China, so that's good. And I really need to conquer Pernambuco at this point. Also, Peru, Bolivia is making moves. Look at that, they conquered all of Chile. That's funny. So I think at this point, because we have the defensive pact with Britain, looks like they won't join. Russia might join, but I don't care. Austria might join, Prussia might join. A lot of people might join, but they don't have navies, so it doesn't matter. That's literally all it is. In terms of what other logos I might want, we could just break their country apart a bit just for the sake of it, which I'd be okay with. There are also maybe other states I want to conquer, like Pernambuco is a nice state, but like we could also, actually it's kind of the best one in the northeast, isn't it? We could also grab Bahia, but let's just neuter him, like why not? Only Prussia joined, okay, that makes this really easy then. I would have thought more people would join. I say we just go right for the landing in Rio, because I don't think we're going to be opposed. Well, we are going to be opposed, but not enough to matter. It's more what I mean. He's only got 23 defense, and I've got 30 offense. I'm not even using mobilization options, but I think we'll be just fine. Once you win one battle, you inflict a bunch of casualties. Usually you tend to then see that you'll keep winning battles because they don't recover fast enough. It just depends on how good their training rate is. But I think we're going to land on this battle. Oh, we need one more battle to land. Now we're not going to win this one, aren't we? 96%. So what we're going to do is, pro tip, when you cancel the invasion, you keep your landing progress. The occupation on the map goes away, but you can look here, I still have 96%. So now I'm just going to wait until my army reinforces a bit more, and then just make another attempt, and as long as I can win like one battle, we'll be able to land there. In fact, I'm just going to add the mobilization option real quick, because, you know, it'll give us a better chance of winning. Oh, and looks like they had an uprising. I think that's our cue to just go in and win. I think that means we can't release Polistania. I think that might have bricked, yeah, that bricked our Polistania release, but it's whatever. Would have been nice to liberate Polistania, but it's okay. Here comes the end of the war. There it is. We have to immediately incorporate Pernambuco, which should take, yeah, only 13 years. Not as long as the China one, because we at least share a heritage of the people here. There's a Suzhou. Are we incorporated yet? 5 more years. I'm going to preemptively queue up the 5 silk plantations we're going to need here in order to make the company. Also, the radicalism isn't even that high. Almost below, almost have 0 turmoil here, which is insane. Dude, look at this lobby. American-British Society. We have +9 appeasement right now, and it has 81% of our clout in it. So our interest groups are just like so happy with us. It's kind of insane. I didn't try to make that happen. We just got lucky, it looks like, but either way, it's very nice. So here's the migration into our state in the south here. Looking pretty fine. I mean, it's nothing too crazy here, but this should ramp up over time. 6K coming in is good. The fact that we got a Yankee community here is good because we can pull people from the north in. Love to see that. How's the actual textiles doing? Yeah, they're very profitable. It should be like extremely profitable because of how good the local cotton is. And once we get a company on it, it'll be even better. Speaking of which, let's look at that Pernambuco company that I wanted to get. So the particular company I want is this one right here, the Compañía Fiação e Tecidos de Pernambuco. Sorry if the mess of the Portuguese there. The reason why it's nice is because its prosperity bonus is a cotton plantation building throughput. So it's going to make our cotton even better. It's like the perfect synergy. And it also has a prestige cloth on it. So we can do like, you know, prestige clothes, give it a monopoly so it gets better prices. And then once it gets profitable, it gives us cotton plantations. This works nicely with the Jiangnan weaving bureaus because they are potentially going to compete with our Brazilian company. But if we give the monopoly to this company, then the weaving bureaus can't buy any of the textiles. So that way we will ensure that we always make prestige clothes with the Brazilian company, and then we make prestige silk with the weaving company. So from here, I want to start getting rid of this random bits of turmoil we have in our country probably from when I raise taxes. So I'm going to start slowly reducing taxes as we get more and more profits. So I'm going to go a step down from here. Maybe we can afford it. Like barely, but I guess we're going to take a step down on the taxes. Hopefully that'll fix things up. We should also see radicalism going down as we get more clothes, and the clothes provide us with more and more, like, you know, stuff for the consumers to buy and so on. We also got autocracy finally, and I don't intend to stay on autocracy. We should be able to relatively easily just go right to technocracy. So let's do that. This will upset the southern planters, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. And it's a low % chance to pass, but, you know, we'll just get some advances or debates if we're lucky. It's no big deal. The flag for autocratic America is kind of cool, though, I will say. This United States of America, like, eagle with all the cool stuff on it. I like that. Jefferson Davis. I did not realize we had Jefferson Davis as the president. Wait a minute. This, for those that don't know, this is the guy that ran the Confederate States of America, is it not? I believe this is the first and only president of the Confederate States of America. Dude, that is listen, if this were a GIGACHAD story, which it could be, I'm not sure if I'm going to write a script for this yet or not. This is an insane outcome. The Jefferson Davis, the dictator president of the United States. That's crazy. I thought that was John Calhoun. I didn't look at him. I just assumed it was still John Calhoun. What can I say? They all look the same to me. That should be the Oregon Trail, which gives me the Oregon Treaty. Nice. And now we have basically like all of the United States, like the proper United States. We have to incorporate all of it, of course, which I have not been doing. But it won't take long, so deal. That'll help us a lot for taxes, by the way, because these places actually have people in them, people that we can tax. We're very glad to see that. I'd like to get more migration down to the south. Let's add more migration decrees. This is just because we're eventually going to be building here. Like, see, Alabama's already got like 100,000 peasants, or almost 200,000, so that's good. But more is better. Okay, well, no technocracy, I guess. Maybe we'll try again another time. Now we can incorporate this. Good. This might mean that now the liberals are going to be really upset with me. Ah, no, they're chilling. They're chilling. No, they're not chilling. Never mind. The 96% activism. I wonder, do the liberals support oligarchy the same as technocracy or less? Seems like they just dislike either one. Because we could do an oligarchy instead, so that way it's a little bit easier to get more stuff in power. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do oligarchy. Now, the nice thing about oligarchy is that it's a little more flexible with regards to like ideological incompatibility. It's possible we can throw in like the church in here so we can get healthcare and other things that'll be good for the country. I think for the next sort of, as my budget gets higher and higher, I mentioned I'd be dropping taxes, right? For the next like moment where we can drop taxes, I'm gonna instead drop like 70 universities in New York or something, just because I want to get a lot of research. So the acquisition of Alaska. Make an offer for Alaska. A bit weird because the Ottomans control it. It's just, I don't know how that happened. I guess we can just take it from the Ottomans. I mean, what are they gonna do? So sure, let's do that. Also, we got oligarchy. So now we can we actually do Jefferson Davis plus oh, Lincoln's gone. No, he's right there, never mind. Oh, it's almost legitimate. Wait a minute, if we drop taxes, we can have a somewhat acceptable government. Look at this, unstable government. Abraham Lincoln plus Jefferson Davis. Yep. Okay. I mean, it's stupid. I did it for the meme. We're gonna immediately undo it, but we definitely want to go for this instead. This is a much better government, but that's just really funny. For a second there was a coalition government between them. Let's go for public healthcare. Yes, please. And the planters will support it. Very nice. More political concessions. We're kind of just making it extremely overpowered planters because it's funny. More so than anything. Is there anything else I want from the Ottomans since I'm here? I mean, transfer Egypt? 23 for me to transfer Egypt. You know what? You know what? Sure. I'm kind of okay with that. James Longstreet is putting his martial prowess to use in the imperial ambitions of the United States. Part of me is thinking if I want to put any tariffs on clothes, because you said we wanted to get a really high standard of living, right? I wonder if we want to do tariffs on exports to make it so the clothes stay a cheaper price. This will reduce profits, but it will increase standard of living. So let's actually do that. Same with the luxury clothes. We'll also put a export tariff on that. And this should keep it more local. See, the profits go down, but now our local pops can buy them at a lower price. Also, are you incorporated yet? Yes, you are. We should be able to make the company now. There it is, the Jiangnan Weaving Bureaus. Let's found it. Now, what are we going to name this? Who wants to have the Silk Company? It's run by Edward Slaughter, an abolitionist. Dude, I remember the other CEO of this company was a slaver. I thought maybe he was a Yankee. It'd be really funny if it was a Yankee slaver, because we have a Dixie abolitionist down here, which is really funny. But either way, let's come up with a name for the Jiangnan Weaving Bureaus. Lenny's Long Silk Supplies. That sounds pretty okay, right? I guess I'll make it Lenny Nater in case that's what you'd prefer, but there you go. Thanks for the support from the channel members, by the way. Huge thank you. Huge thank you. Makes making these videos a lot more viable for me, you could say. We're going to grant these guys immediately monopoly rights to silk, of course, and I guess investment rights too. Again, we don't really have anyone for them to invest in, but later on we might, so just give it out. Petition for freedom of conscience. Ooh, we'll see what, maybe. We could actually do, like, we could unironically do, like, state religion to increase wages. One thing to keep in mind, if we're going for standard of living, these laws do help because they give wages. They're gonna, like, decrease acceptance for not having the right religion, but it's probably not a big deal when we consider that people will just be converting, so let's do it. Alright, but they wanted freedom of conscience. Hold on, wait a minute, we have to do this. It was totally a tactic. See how now that we have support of of the Protestant movement? So what's happening here is that this movement has 6% support, and they didn't have enough activism to support the movement, or rather to support the law, but because we tried to pass state religion and then canceled it, it gave them some activism, and because of that, now, now they have enough activism to support the law. But see there, I guess it's not showing up, but for a brief moment they had above 25%, now they're going to stay above 25 because they're passing a law. So that was actually big brain, it wasn't a mistake. Have we landed yet? We're actually... Oh, we have, but we should probably stop attacking because we have negative support here. German, but put him on defense. Let's just chill. We'll let him attack us, and I think on the defense we have a lot more power than they do. So I'm going to queue up just like a ton of silk over here now, like 100, like 95 more. And the nice thing is that we don't even have an issue with turmoil here, so the construction is pretty efficient. It's not like we're spending a ton of construction on building like one or two things. That's the problem with like kind of doing overseas empires and stuff, is that you get a lot of turmoil and then the construction is very inefficient. But in this case, I mean, it's totally fine. There's no problems here. Because we conquered it so long ago that there was time for our very powerful market to give them the goods they needed. Pump jacks will be very important because this unlocks automatic irrigation, which gives us even more cotton and even more silk. The problem with it is that, to be honest with you, the fact that it adds an input good kind of makes it like not as good as it might look, but it does mean that we'll consume more engines. It does mean we'll have to employ fewer laborers and slaves, so it works not as well for a slave-based economy. And this is one of the things that Victoria 3 does, is it slowly discourages slave-based economies because you need pops that can work more advanced jobs, and slaves can only work laborer jobs. So we're going to be incentivized to slowly do less and less slavery, but for the meme of the run, of course I will continue anyway. Anyway, you want to give me my stuff? There you go. Okay. Annex Alaska, transfer Egypt. Great. Now we have Egypt in our market, and Egypt is nice to have for sure. And we control Alaska, which I guess we can just incorporate immediately. It'll take forever, and we can continue colonizing it as well. Very nice. It sounds simple, but honestly, I kind of just want advanced research for the tech speed. But there is something to be said for freedom of movement and for companies. Like, those are just kind of all good options. I think we go the freedom of movement to start, because we can get more migrants that way. We need a lot of migrants to make the South work, because not a lot of people live there, unfortunately. How close is Pernambuco to being incorporated? 4 more years, great. I believe we have the textile mills here, so that's good. We have what we need to make the company. We just need to incorporate, and we're good to go. Here comes all of our cotton now in Alabama, by the way. These should be like insanely profitable, but we'll see how they turn out. One thing we can do, I just realized, we should probably put an agricultural decree in Alabama, because we're getting all this cotton, right? So more throughput sounds good. The nice thing about throughput on a plantation is that there's no input goods, so throughput is just an output bonus. There's no, like, we're not increasing the cost of input goods or anything, we're just getting more stuff out of this, which is nice. Also, we do have immigrants. Where are they going? To Indiana. Okay, so we got a, looks like Indiana has a Han cultural community. So we're going to see some Han moving there. This is why Conquerstation China could be so good, it's just that it's totally RNG whether or not you actually get the communities that you need for them to be able to emigrate. Where's most of our investment pool coming from? By the way, you might notice I'm stacking up a lot of investment pool. I should be making more construction sectors, but I'm not trying to play like super hardcore right now, so I'm playing more casually. In theory, what I should be doing is making way more construction, and then letting the investment pool drain, and then paying off my debt in that time, and then building with it to let the investment pool build up again, and then just repeating that over and over again. But I'm just chilling right now. I'm trying to do like a funny meme run as opposed to like a real hardcore playthrough. I've been really enjoying playing Vic 3 with more just like a chill vibe overall. It's been nice. I believe we just got prosperity on Landinator's long silk. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So for the Suzhou silk, do you want to give this a name? I feel like it's already kind of self-explanatory, but what kinds of... Are there like American silks? I mean, I can look them up maybe. Okay, here's a funny thing. So you guys know like... when like, you guys know like General Tso's chicken? Yeah? What if it's just... Because it's like Americanized Chinese, what if we just call it General Tso's silk? You know? It's like the American version of the Chinese food that's like not at all like what it is at home, but I guess silk is silk. We're gonna see it, that's what we'll call it. Funny meme. I laugh. Oh, Indiana is now majority Han. Oh my goodness. Not just plurality, actual majority, 54.4%. Crazy. And some of them are going to be converting to Protestantism, I believe, because we have freedom of conscience. So they're going to be converting. Yeah, there they are. That's really funny. Wow, that's like absolutely insane. Indiana's actually not a bad state. We could build this place up a little bit, but we'll see. I'm building in the south again, more for the roleplay than anything else at the moment. We do need to keep in mind that as we make more and more plantations, we're going to be getting rid of our arable land. The cost of grain may start increasing. We might want to pick a place like, we could pick like Missouri or maybe Nebraska or something, like one of these places that has this agriculture throughput modifier, and just make like a bunch of corn or something. The problem, of course, being that nobody lives here, so it's a bit of a pain to build anything up, but there's like 200,000 people in South Dakota. Or I guess we could also just put a migration decree down and then just hope that we can get people to move in there. We do have... No, we don't have a Yankee community here yet. We could do it in South Dakota where there's a Yankee community. I would like to get to Professional Army because National Militia is like fine, but I do like Professional Army because it gives you more morale loss down. So it's like... It's kind of just... It makes your units a little bit better. With National Militia, you can raise probably a bigger army. Like 919 battalions can mobilize, kind of crazy. But I like to have Professional Armies anyway because they're just... Like, it gives you a better estimation of how expensive your army is. One thing that can be really annoying is when you go to war thinking that you can afford it, and then you actually, like, totally can't, because the conscripts are way more expensive than you expected. Also, wow, that's cursed. Hudson's Bay yoinked Alaska off me. Insane. It's fine, though. There is another company I want to make, by the way. One that gives more bonuses to plantations, and that is... Let me find it in here. The United Fruit Company is kind of bad because of the infamy decay modifier. Like, we don't like that. But 20% plantation throughput, this applies to all plantations, including, of course, cotton. So we're going to make this company next, which requires us to have sugar in Louisiana and then have bananas in South America. Guess what? I believe that this is considered part of South America, so we can build the bananas here. queue those up, and we'll queue up our sugar. Of course, we're a bit of a ways away from getting other company slots, so it's no rush. But still. I wonder if we should increase the tariffs on our clothes. We're probably still trading a lot of them, aren't we? Yeah. Part of me says we just max the tariffs. We go like total protectionist economy. Sure, why not, right? Just like go hard on the tariffs with these. This way we can ensure that our pops are consuming them to increase our standard of living. Oh, have we incorporated this yet, by the way? It should be done now. Yeah, we need to wait for a company slot. Alright, well, we can get one through a mandate, so that'll be another one. Right, +1 when we get the company level 3. There's still 3 techs for companies, so 1, 2, and 3. Those will be a long time till we get those, though. And then that should be enough slots, I think, for everything that we need. I don't think we need more slots than that. So we can save a slot for forward or something to get more SOL, probably. Here come our universities, by the way. This is going to be good. I queued these up a while ago, but they took a long time to kind of get to the top of the queue. This will make it so we can get our companies way faster. Almost have a Yankee plurality here in Georgia. That's kind of insane. Oh, they're like they're very close. The problem is that I believe the pops here that are accepted enough, they're going to be assimilating to Dixie because it's their homeland. So these guys, they're going to be turning Dixie. But I think that once the Yankees become a larger portion, they'll start assimilating to Yankee instead. I'm not sure if the fact that it's a Dixie homeland will take precedence. It could be they'll go to that instead. But we'll see. It's only 0.1% difference now. Oh, there it is. Is this where it flips? Oh, it did for a second. I saw it. There it is. So now are they going to assimilate to Yankee? No, it's still go to Dixie. Yeah, okay. Unless it's needs time to change. Maybe it just needs time to fix. No, there's something to Dixie still. I think it's because it's a homeland is why. At least that would make sense to me anyway. Let's look at the culture map mode since we're here, by the way. Very cursed. You know, this tends to be how America playthroughs go, but continuing to impress, as usual. This is just funny. I think I'm just going to raise taxes. I've been worrying about my budget for a while. I've kind of just been staring at it, thinking that I need to fix it. Just put the damn taxes up. It's fine. At this point, I think I have enough pops down in the south, so maybe we actually take off these migration decrees for a little while. And we instead maybe just do like, road maintenance down here. Yeah, because we do want the road maintenance. And let's keep some decrees. Like, I want to keep getting more migrants maybe into... I guess just keep it here, because when a mass migration happens, it spreads pops to the state they come to as well as all the neighboring states. So putting it in Alabama means that we could get like more cultural communities in Tennessee, as we can see through here, more communities in Mississippi, more in Georgia. So it kind of just, it's smart to keep that, I think. By taking those decrees off, we're also going to see the pops now kind of emigrating out to other places too. So we might see pops going all over the place from here. There's professional army, and I think now I can build up an actual army so I can keep the Egyptians loyal. Because right now they're just kind of like, this guy has no army. We should attack him. I'm going to build up just a massive army down here. We have so many peasants, so lots of people to go put into the army. So with this new army we're building, we should be able to get Egypt to actually be loyal. I'm hoping anyway. Just annexed Hawaii. Okay, very nice. There is a Han cultural community here, so we should see Han pops flying over here. From Indiana. Okay, from Suzhou, Indiana. And New York. We got a New York Han community. That's very important. Or did we? I thought it looked like we had immigrants from... I guess maybe Yankees are moving over or something. Somebody's moving over. Yeah, Yankees are. Okay. I kind of want to just go all the way to state religion, to be honest. Kind of down with this. Because it will increase wages for our Protestant pops, which are going to be the vast majority of our pops. I say that, but we do have China, so... might not be as big as what I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I say vast majority, because we have that, like, a couple places. We have some overseas territories, we do have some Catholics and Confucians and stuff, but no big deal. We honestly, though, we want these people to suffer more because then they'll emigrate. They'll actually move into other places like Indiana where we want them to go and where they'll then get converted to our faith. So it sounds good to me. Because they won't convert here because you have to have at least one pop present of the faith they're converting to for them to convert. So we need one Protestant to live here for them to start converting, so they won't. So we have to wait for them to move into America where they're among Protestants who they will then convert to, which will get their acceptance up. Okay, so out in Nebraska, we managed to get a bunch of French pops. So I'm thinking now we can do our farming build up here, maybe. Maybe we do it in Kansas instead because there's more people here. Because this has a modifier, the Great Plains, which gives more agriculture throughput. So we're gonna just make a bunch of wheat. That sounds good. Let's drop like 5 railways and then 100 wheat farms. And, you know, might as well drop some food industries here too, because they'll have local access to the wheat. Here comes state religion. More authority is nice, so there we go, good. It does mean that we have more bureaucracy issues. I don't actually know why that caused a bureaucracy issue, but we shall fix it. Could just straight up go to becoming a theocracy, but like I just don't like theocracies much. We could make Jefferson Davis the king. I mean, sure. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're gonna try it. It's funny. James Longstreet wants to coup the government now, which would make him the ruler. That's interesting. I'm gonna say the present regime must survive in the hopes that we can make our ruler the king. But well, yeah, looks like it's gonna be easy to do. Yeah, so the coup is actually not really a real danger. So this means that James Longstreet's gonna be gone, I think, right? We don't have to get rid of him, but let's get rid of him, just to see what we get in charge of the army. So now just some random guy. Okay, no problem. Does mean less opposition because they were radicals, right? So now they're no longer opposing us. With our new authority, but we can get more immigrants. I'm gonna put one in Kansas so we can get immigrants there, and we could also put it in California. There's a modifier for agriculture here too, so we can also build up a lot of agriculture down here. Azande, dude, there's more slaves here than there are like not slaves. Oh my goodness, I haven't even checked our like how many people are slaves in all of our states. It's actually an interesting question. Oh my, yeah, some of these places have a lot of slaves. Some of them don't though. New York remains slaveless. Yeah. So with mutual funds, we're gonna get a reduction in our loan interest rate and get extra minting. Then with investment banking, we actually get the company slot. So two big techs coming up real soon. There's mutual funds. Look at how our budget just jumped up to 17k positive after that. That's because the interest rate down is really good. Also, I'm keeping an eye on the transportation costs of my cotton because I added this in order to make my railways actually profitable. It makes the cotton less profitable, but it's fine. And we need to build a lot of railways in order to keep this up, unfortunately. It sucks that Egypt's army is so big because we don't want them to get so much liberty, but in order to get 5 times as much as 6, we need 300 battalions, and that's not going to happen. So I'm thinking we might just want to reduce their autonomy before it gets too expensive to do so. Their independence is supported, so this will help a little bit if we just get that independence supporter to back off. I think I'll also humiliate them, and then where do they keep most of their units? Like if we check their buildings, we can conquer like Lower Egypt in order to take 30 of their battalions away. I think we'll do that. A lot of infamy, but I can take it. So I believe he's going to be having shortages because he's using skirmish infantry, but maybe he's importing. He might just be importing a bunch of ammo for all I know. Nonetheless, I think it'll be an easy landing. Maybe not. No, never mind. It's not at all an easy landing. Cancel the invasion. Don't waste your troops. That. So we can wait out him to presumably bankrupt, because I don't know, like, I doubt he's going to be able to hold up this big of an army for a long time. We can wait that out, or we can try to, like, land in Eritrea so we don't have to take the naval penalty. Or we can get a bigger navy, land with a bigger army. That would also work. A couple different options we have to get this going, but it's fine. You know, I was doing some reading a while ago about the Confederate, like, nation, because I was getting interested in like American constitutional interpretations and stuff, and I realized that the Confederate States of America had their own constitution that was like very slightly amended from the American, like the proper American Constitution. I never thought about that. It's like if they were to be their own country, how would they govern differently? And I suppose they would be more focused on states' rights and stuff, right? In theory, maybe. I don't know. It's just interesting to think about that, about like the subtle differences in things beyond just slavery, but also like the way they would govern. Looks like we're having more success here invading from Eritrea, so we can march up to Cairo eventually. It'll take a bit, but we'll get there.
Okay, and now we have pretty much destroyed Egypt, because nice thing is that when you occupy their state, any barracks that are in that state will have no market access. So the units there will suddenly have shortages, which means that the war gets easier the more of the enemy that you occupy. It looks like the Afro-American secession movement, which is just the slave revolt movement, has bombed one of our buildings. I'm just going to let it go. No big deal, dude. No big deal. Okay, we just got tech for our new company, but at the same time, we're ending this war with Egypt. Very good. Please be loyal now. Please, please. Okay. Yeah, he still has country support for some reason, which is bothersome. But at least our army is more powerful than his now. His army must be much smaller. I do want to get rid of, like, the massive number of units we just took over down here. Ah, he only had 7. I thought he had 30 here, but I guess he must have expanded them or something. Ah, we can't get rid of them. That's fine. Okay, company. Where's my Brazilian clothes company? There it is. Found this immediately. Yeah. We're gonna give them a, of course, monopoly on clothes. And that's it. We don't have to give them anything else. The executive is Horace Dyer, a market liberal Yankee of the industrialists. And we can rename this company too, so let's think what we want to call this. Tomoko's and I don't know, tanned t-shirts. Sure, right? Something like that. I just want to go for the lazy alliteration.
Real quick apology here. I did in fact name it T-shirts, as in the drink. Now there are 2 interpretations you can go with here. Either A, it's a mistake that I do in fact never correct throughout the video, so sorry about that. Or B, you can see that connection with China that we have to sort of make it a funny meme kind of pun thing. I don't know, up to you, whatever makes you feel better. Basically, it's either a mistake or it's so incredibly huge brain that it makes me a genius. Whatever you want to interpret it as.
Anarchism camp. Just get all the tier 3 society techs so that we can get down to corporate governance and the international exchange standards and Zeppelins. Just so many good tier 4 techs in society. It's kind of crazy. Looks like Prussia's going for their unification. I don't really care to be involved in that. Also, Joshua Norton enters the ring. Sure. More loyalists in California is nice. And then I wonder if we could use him to pass. If we put him in charge of the petite bourgeoisie, he could help us pass monarchism. But he doesn't actually, like, he wouldn't actually give that much bonus because the petite bourgeoisie are pretty weak. It's kind of whatever. I'm making a new deal with Britain because they broke the previous one. Keeping our defensive pact, we're getting our investment rights back. We're gonna not trade at all with ammunition, and we're not gonna put subventions on groceries. And in return, we're gonna get trade privileges and military assistance and all this good stuff. So we love to see that. I don't want to take on my debt, nah. It's almost never that they actually do this, but every once in a while you can pull it off, actually. But again, let's put that to buy for 25 years, and this way we can keep investing in Britain. It is nice to get those investment rights because we can control, like, a lot of really rich stuff over there, especially because our silk company, for example, they could be taking a lot of stuff out in Britain. In fact, they are taking some, but not a lot. They're mostly getting textiles because we put a monopoly on textiles for our other company, so they're buying textiles in Britain where they're allowed to. But most of their profits are going to be from the silk in Suzhou anyway. Maybe our other companies are buying more of this stuff, like maybe the cotton company is. Kind of. Not a lot, but a little bit. There's monarchy. We just passed it. Okay. Jefferson Davis. Emperor Jefferson Davis. Oh, man. What a creature. Do we have an heir? No heir yet? Give it time. Looks like our clothes company is having a little bit of trouble getting prosperous, which is probably because I have all these tariffs. Let's actually take off the tariffs now for the exports and everything, and let them flourish. You know, let's do that. Oh my goodness, the profits went way higher after we did that. Now they're having no trouble with prosperity at all. Yeah, the tariffs were nice, but now that the budget's high enough, we don't need them anymore. And in fact, I think it probably benefits us more to not use the tariffs at this point, because the money they're going to be making is going to, like, pay more in wages, and we'll be able to tax that better. Basically, it's better. We look at the throughput modifiers, by the way, 110% is already a lot. Where it's coming from, you can see that we're using prestige goods, so that's good. We have a throughput decree down here. The company is giving extra throughput, and then our executives also have traits, which is nice. Economy of scale is good. We don't even have the maximum economy of scale bonus yet, so we're gonna see that number go real high in good time. New mandate, another company one, of course. Now, once this becomes prosperous, it's going to make our cotton company even better. So it's going to further synergize with Alexander the Greatest Cotton. If you look over in, I think we have most of it in Alabama, this is going to become even better. Although right now it's having trouble with profitability, mostly because transportation's so expensive, but we can fix that, I suppose. There you go, give them some more transportation to work with, and that'll help with their profits. And once we're out of debt, we're going to put down a lot more construction, but I think we'll swap over to steel construction first. So we'll click this, then we'll fix up our economy according to how it changes when we click this, and then we'll make more construction. Okay, I believe we've hit prosperity on the company. Very good. Now, unfortunately, we have to wait for designer clothes, but that won't take very long, because we definitely produce enough clothes for this. So if we look at the Alabama cotton plantations again, see 132% throughput. That's just like insane. That's crazy. So we have a radical movement. They don't appreciate us becoming an empire recently, but Jefferson Davis is too busy celebrating his son, Benjamin Davis, who I didn't notice, but he's 2 years old, also a slaver like his father, you know, like son, like father. Pretty cool. Wonder if we should implement some voting for this radical movement, because, like, you know, we could... Oh, they want technocracy. Oh, okay, well, that's an easy choice, then. We can just do technocracy. And the evangelicals will support it. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's like about even, I guess, on the chances. This is like... This will probably pass copium. I don't know. Okay, we're now out of debt. We have a gold reserve. We're going to swap over to steel construction. Just like that. And we're immediately missing goods, I assume. But honestly, not as many as I thought it would be. And we're going to... Like... I guess we can just pump more construction. We're going to do the construction now, and then I'm going to hope that the private sector will kind of fill things in here. I suppose we'll see. We might have to do it manually, because we don't actually have very many, like, steel or explosive or anything-oriented companies. So probably we're going to be getting a lot of not stuff that we need, actually, but we'll see what happens. For now, I can just afford the shortages, so it's no big deal. Here it comes. Technocracy, maybe? Okay, new machine is really nice to get, though. Manufacturing industry throughput in, like, the perfect state, actually. Oh my goodness. The textiles just got even better. 138% throughput. That's just ridiculous. We don't even have the prestige clothes yet either, but they're coming pretty soon. That won't increase the throughput, but it's going to just increase how much money these things can make, because these will sell for more, and they'll also improve our standard of living by quite a lot. I imagine that a lot of our sell orders are consumption. Yes, they are. So our pops will get a lot of standard living from this. Now this begs the question of what to name the designer clothes, because we're using, also we now have technocracy, by the way. We're using Chinese silk and American cotton to make clothes. So what would you call that? I don't know. I'm trying to think of something creative in the next 1 month of time that we have. In terms of clout, by the way, it looks like it actually stayed about the same, but gave a little more power to some of the other interest groups. Like, check out Independent Empire of Korea, by the way. Under Minggum, the traditionalistic Confucian scholars, the absolute monarchy. Wow, how did they break free? Like, is there like a journal entry about it or something? Because I can't imagine they actually like defeated the Heavenly Kingdom. That'd be kind of crazy if they did. They're on free trade now, by the way, which is great. Speaking of which, I didn't even realize. Wonder how long ago that happened. I want trade privileges. I'll give you an embassy and want investment rights. I think we can pull this off. I'll give you trade privileges. Yeah, and defensive pact? Nah. How about I don't tariff some things? No subventions? Nah, they don't care about anything. No tariffs on dyes? Okay. Cool. And then maybe no trade. I want to keep trading dyes, though. I don't want to do that. How about I pay you, like, a very small amount of money? Yeah, I can afford to give you 500 pounds a week or whatever. Yeah, that sounds good. The Declaration of Yantai. Okay. Trade privileges on China is going to go crazy, because we can send them all of our clothes, potentially, if we make a lot of trade centers. Important note here, this embassy I've given out, I want to say, just in case I forget to show it off later, will result in the Heavenly Kingdom gaining recognition eventually. Now, on account of that, they will get even more powerful. The Heavenly Kingdom using free trade is kind of insanely good for me, because they are indeed a market we can sell to. The problem, of course, is that we will have to rely on the AI to build more trade centers, and there's no way to make that happen unless we grab a treaty port. I had mentioned earlier that just being friends with China is about as good as getting a treaty port on them, but this isn't quite true, since having the treaty port lets you also inject their nation with more trade, as well as avoiding tariffs.
Nonetheless, my goods are meant to be increasing the standard of living back home, not generating more profits, right? So maybe it's okay.
Okay, so I think that I'm gonna go with is I looked up like Qing China era clothing, and they have this Wikipedia page called the Qingzhuang, which is like the clothing of the Manchu people. I guess it's also known as Manfu, or like Manchu clothes. And they have this like they have various pictures of the clothing and stuff, and this is more like particularly Manchurian clothes as opposed to Chinese clothes. But you know, I think I can call something like, we can do Mei Guo, which is the word for America in Chinese. I remember that from when I took one semester of Chinese back in university. We can do Mei Guo Manfu. So it's like the American Manchurian clothes or something like that. That sounds kind of cool, right? Isn't it? You know, that's a little something, right? We'll go with that. Just a little bit creative. I also have another company slot, Technocracy, and I forgot about that. What do I want to get? Right, I wanted the United Fruit Company. I remember now. I was thinking about what I wanted. Of course, the Fruit Company. So let's really quickly prioritize the stuff we need for that. Shouldn't take long to build these. They're just plantations. We do have some turmoil in Brazil, so it's going to affect the speed, but not by a lot. French migration to Kansas again. Oh, French and Germans living together in Kansas. Meanwhile, Germany has like completely eviscerated France. That's funny. Also, wow, Tuat is like an actual country. A democratic republic. Okay. Wow. I wonder how that happened. That must have been like a uprising or something to cause that. There it is, United Fruit Company. So we're gonna found this. Let's see who the leader is. It's Bushrod Thompson, the Abolitionist Intelligentsia. Okay, sure. Let's come up with a good name for this guy. Or rather, a name for his company, not for him. Let's give this one to Mr. Zynox. So, call this Mr. Zynox's... Zynox with a S? Zynox's Wholesome Banana Farms. Nothing weird about that at all. There we go. And I guess we give them monopoly on bananas. So they can get their prestige goods. And investment rights, definitely. This means they can go and invest over in China, but I don't think they have much fruit here. They probably do have in South China a little bit. They do, yeah, so they can invest there. Oh, and looks like we have a regent. Benjamin Davis is too young. We could put Robert E. Lee as the regent, which feels very appropriate. Also Asa Epis, and Hiram Peabody, and Willoughby Johnston. So I'm thinking it's gotta be Robert Lee. The regent of the... yeah. It's perfect. Yep. I mean, yep, it's good. It's very good. Like, I feel so blessed that we've had these historical figures actually come up and do things in the game. And the Regency system is a very nice addition to the game, by the way. I'm glad it's in. Just look at that popularity. He's loved. Wow. Oh, another company slot, that means. Okay, so we don't want to use this company slot on. After the Fruit Company, there is one that I had in mind that I'm going to... I don't know, should I reveal it right now? There is one that I did have in mind. So there is a company out in Germany. Okay, I'll put interest there so it can show up in the list, actually. There's a company out here, it's in Baden, okay? And it's the BASF, or BASF, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's the company that gives you German aniline, which is like the artificial dye, right? It's the only source of prestige dyes in the entire game. And I would like to use it for our textile mills, because of course prestige dyes are a good that will be used for textiles. Problem is, then I have to conquer Germany, so it's quite the ask. Let's see if I can find the company in the list. There it is, BASF. So to found this, we have to conquer Baden, incorporate it, and build synthetics plants there. So conquering Baden is no small task, but to be honest with you, if we start investing in our military stuff now, we probably can pull it off. I want to get these techs done first, and we have a lot of universities, so it should be pretty fast, and then we're going to go focus on military tech completely. Looks like Robert E. Lee is deciding to retire as the leader of the regents, rather, so we have to pick someone else. Let's see, I mean, none of these guys seem to be particularly good choices, so I guess I'm going to take the role on who we get for the new guy for the Southern Planters. Let's see, it's basically just going to be a slaver, it's like guaranteed, more or less. Let's see who we get. I don't think it'll be a historical character, but we got Milton Nagley. Okay, whatever. I don't nothing special about this guy, but he's got cool glasses, I guess. He's Yankee though. Okay, he's a Yankee. All right, bit of an underdog in this very southern-oriented politics, I guess. One thing I'm going to need for my clothes is actually, I'm going to need rubber. So we probably should go to Africa at this point. That should maybe be our next project while we build up for taking on the Germans for their company. Let's get into Africa soon. I'm just going to do my all my new PMs real quick. I forgot to put dynamite on. That's my bad. Should have had that on a while ago. The Congo's actually already been taken by Britain, it looks like. But to be honest, we could just go through the east, through Zanzibar. That's not a bad idea either, so maybe we do that. Can we annex him? We can fully annex him. So sure. I'm also going to want to take that little piece of Mombasa as well. And there we go, there's Zanzibar, and also a bit of Kenya. We can begin colonizing here now. We'll do that. Not much rubber spawns on this particular part of Africa, but some does, so it's worth it to go for it. We seem to have taken over one of his forestry conglomerate of some kind here. And I can't disband it for 4 years, so we're stuck being over our company limit now. That's really annoying. We can get rid of this one at least. Okay, that's good.
For those wondering about how stealing companies works, if you have an open company slot when you fully annex a nation, you take over all their companies. That means you've got to be careful conquering tiny little guys while having an open company slot, because you might find yourself inundated with wine and wood companies, as those are quite popular among the AI nations. You can also use this to quickly access a particular company you might want if you're able to fully annex a nation with something actually valuable. Just keep in mind that you need at least one open slot, and once you annex the nation, you take all their companies, even if it puts you above your limit.
There's the throughput bonus, so we should see it here. 156% throughput, we don't even have the company owning all of it yet. Give it time and they'll buy it up eventually. In order to get my last mandate slot, we need to get 10 members of my block, and I currently have 7. So we'll see if we can get some easy members. Like Vietnam, maybe. Corsica's free. Okay, well, we gotta get Corsica. Come on. Obviously. Corsica is far too legendary of a nation to not grab. War with Corsica has begun. We shall land. This will get us up to 8 members. Then we can do 9 by releasing a colonial administration down here. And then, I don't know, I can maybe make, like, Buganda a protectorate or something. So we can get a 10th member. GDP is growing pretty fast, but Britain is outpacing us because I'm playing like a casual. I think we will outpace Britain pretty soon, though. We do have a massive textile mill here now. And I think it's about time that we really just put down all of the construction sectors ever. I'm going to put some down in the south because they do increase construction efficiency in the states that you build them in. So it's a good idea to kind of put them in the places where you plan to build a lot. Could grab Venezuela, but that feels very topical for today. But they would be a good choice, though. They do have good resources, like they have rubber and oil, which is stuff that we're going to want. So I think that, yes, we are going to grab Venezuela. We're just going to literally, like, let Brazil occupy this. That's fine. And I'm going to occupy Venezuela and win the war and call it a day. Let's see, let me check on migration from Suzhou, see if we have any more cultural communities that have spawned. So does Indiana. That's okay. Indiana is extremely Chinese at this point. 65% Chinese. Nice. And they're all, like, not tolerated at all, by the way, so it's just like this collection of people that are going to be horribly mistreated. They all have violent hostility. Oh, man. And there we go, we can end the war. See you later. Management on Protectorate. That's good. That puts us up to 9 members, right? And then we just need to release the colonial nation over here. But I'm going to take a little bit to do that. I'm going to finish colonizing a little bit more before we do. Corporate governance means another company slot, but the one, so I want to do like the one in Germany, but we have enough slots to spare that we can do other companies too, and I'm just going to do Carnegie. I mean, Carnegie's so good. How can you not do Carnegie, right? We do actually have Andrew Carnegie in charge of it, and yeah, this is going to help our economy a lot, because steel, iron, and coal is just kind of like amazing, and we'll let him do his thing. Not going to really mess with this company much. This is just going to be the one that we do so we can actually have a strong economy. We are going to rename it, though. The question is, what are we going to rename it to? GC Kingdom Steel, Ore, and Construction Committee. Sure, I don't know, whatever. Funny name. This is named after our channel member, of course, as always. This one I'd rename, but we're going to get rid of it, so I don't want to name it after someone and then kill it. Otherwise, I'd have to keep it. Filling up the food in Kansas now, because I was worried a little bit about our food, but it looks like everything's okay. Cheapening up grain will help a little bit with our SOL, but more what's going to help is the groceries that are coming afterwards. That's going to be a bit more important, I think. Right, we can get rid of this random forestry company now. Question is what to replace it with, but It sounds simple, but like a tool company honestly isn't too bad of an idea just for even more throughput on our clothes. Like, it's not a terrible idea, but I do need to also save a slot for Ford at some points. I think we're going to probably not do Standard Oil this game, even though it's quite good. Oh, there's another German company. We could get this one. This is also a company in Austria. Well, I guess it's in Czechoslovakia, but it's named in German. This also gives textile throughput, so we kind of want that. You know, part of me says that if we're going to conquer Baden, we're probably going to be going for like a max infamy playthrough anyway. So maybe we also go for that motor company that gives more textile throughput, the one in Moravia. I don't want to look for it again, the list is so long, but it's getting a bit more to ask of me though, because we're probably going to have to just eat through all of Austria to get it. But I suppose, you know, we're on our way to getting all the military techs. We're just getting Zeppelins, then we'll be done with the tier 4 techs. Although, actually, I should do malaria prevention before all this stuff. Sadly, we can't insert things into the queue. We have to get rid of the whole queue and then do malaria prevention. Because we want that for when we colonize. Look at that GDP-Line. It's almost vertical at this point. Carnegie makes a big difference. I should note that, like, I'm not doing too badly economically this playthrough, and I was playing pretty casually. But this choice of build isn't really that effective for actually making a powerful GDP, because like these plantation goods and these clothes don't make a huge amount of, you know, productivity for you, but they do help with the SOL. We are seeing SOL growing, and this is because we have a lot of clothes available and stuff like that. Fruit is expensive. I'm surprised by that considering we have the fruit company, but perhaps they aren't buying a lot of fruit. No, they have quite a lot. So, or maybe it's just that they're spending a lot of money on it because it's so available. It could be that too. I like how they immediately bought up a bunch of the fruit out here. That's a lot of profits. That's insane. Oh my goodness. I'm glad that the Venezuelans still have slavery, because that means they can use the good production methods. Good on them for that. That's just really funny how much money that is from just fruits. I say it's not a very good build, but maybe slavery's kind of changed the game, because that's a lot of money. The problem is how many workers it takes. 135k in profits for 300,000 workers, compared to the iron mines up here in New York. 34k for 200,000. Never mind, that actually doesn't really prove my point very well, does it? Is there a better example, maybe? Can I find an example that proves my point? I'm not sure I can find a good example of it. I mean, I guess, yeah. Maybe slavery has completely changed the game so that now plantations are OP. I don't know, maybe. Because I was going to say, like, oh, the textile mills are going to take up less workers for a similar amount of profits, but in reality, like, nah, they aren't. It is making better jobs, I will say, so if there is one benefit, it's that engineers get paid a lot more than slaves, who get paid nothing. So this is better for the purpose of, like, standard of living, but that's a small bonus in the face of economic advantages. Here, Roosevelt steps down. Apparently, Roosevelt's been working with the British. Perhaps he has abolitionist tendencies. Who might replace him? Let me check that before we click this. Probably a slaver. Yeah, okay. And we got a slaver. Feels good, man. This is Hector Leitner. Okay. I do kind of feel sad about getting rid of Roosevelt. It maybe could have been fun to mess around with him, but, you know, he was taking money from the British, okay? He's clearly a traitor to the nation. The radicals are getting upset. It could be that it's time to get some voting in. Could be. Like, we could do wealth voting, and to be honest with you, it would still be pretty in line with our current system. The problem is that we like technocracy for the company slot, so if we just gotta keep this. We could also just pass, like, protected speech or something like that, but, like, they would also be okay with getting rid of our secret police, which I do want to keep them because they're really good. Speaking of which, why don't we just increase the size of our secret police? Yeah, hold on a minute. Why am I thinking about caving into the demands of these radicals when we can just suppress them more? There's Zeppelins, that's huge. The 5% Mappy is just, like, so strong. It's probably going to make all of our people even better SOL-wise. There's, okay, Up in the Air. This is the event where you can get plus 30 army offense. This is the moment where we should be attacking Germany to get Baden, because we get this plus 30 offense. At the same time, though, I kind of want to just wait till we have, like, all of the military modifiers ever. So maybe we just grab trade capacity. I'm not ready to go max infamy, though. I'm just not ready for it. Trade capacity it is. Just not ready for it. Because our army's too small and our navy's too small. I should check how the world market's doing. Are we, like, dominating it? No, the British actually are still outdoing us on exports, probably because they're just exporting a bunch of opium. That seems to be the case, yes. Yeah. Yeah, all their plantation goods they're exporting a lot of, but they're importing a lot of clothes, which is what we're making, so they're like importing our stuff. I could conquer pretty much all of Ethiopia in one war through this annex country button. I think I'm gonna do that. Sounds pretty good to me. There's malaria prevention. Huge. Will make colonizing the Congo insanely fast. There we go. With that, I'm going to release Ethiopia. Actually, well, first let me finish colonizing it a little bit. Yeah, there's still some colonization to be done. And I guess we can grab Kwara. Is there the last piece of Ethiopia? Grab. Interesting. It looks like we're losing some of our legitimacy to the industrialists here. They're actually gaining some power, and they're Republicans too. They want to get rid of the king. We might swap back to a republic sometime in the future, because it was funny having Robert E. Lee as the regent. It was funny having Jefferson Davis as the king, or as the emperor. But we might want to go back to a republic so we can do more funny memes with other rulers later. Okay, great. There's that. We'll finish colonizing these, and then we'll release a colonial nation in Ethiopia. Coronation Day. Benjamin Davis has grown up. Long live the philosopher king. Woohoo. There he is. He's kind of like not really that good, to be honest, but he's a guy. He's a king. The son of Jefferson Davis. What a great meme. What a truly exquisite meme. We do not have the refined steel, by the way, but I don't know what to name it. I think for the refined steel, I don't really care to give it a cool name. It's just just Carnegie Steel, you know? It's just refined steel. Not really interesting. Anything interesting to go off there. Oh, we actually have Robert E. Lee Wilson, by the way. This is not Robert E. Lee, but Robert E. Lee Wilson. This is the historical founder of the Lee Wilson and Company. I don't know. Words are hard. But he's a protectionist. Okay. Well, that's cool. He's here. I feel like I never see him, to be honest. But here he is. You know what company I should get? Because we're going to get more company slots later. I really should get Colt if I'm going to try and attack the Germans. I just realized that. That would actually be an excellent choice if I want to take down the Germans. So let's do that. Let's grab 5 arms industries here and make Colt real quick. Alright, I'm ready to release Ethiopia, I think, so let's do that. Release colony Ethiopia. And I want it to be, of course, the whip shall crack and the colony shall provide. Because this will make them use slavery so they can actually use the good production methods. Guess we'll grab that. Good. And then, now I can get a new mandate. Get our final one. And it's very simple. It's going to be advanced research. So we can get our military techs even faster. Boom. Okay. Archducal American Abyssinia is a hell of a name. See, I'm actually going to do Colt, by the way. I was thinking I would do Colt, but I think we're running out of company slots pretty fast here. This would make war with Germany easy, but if I'm going to wait for the better production methods, or rather mobilization options, it's not really going to matter very much. Because we right now are using 6 slots. We're going to be able to get, like, rather we're using 5 slots. We have 1 available. We're able to get 1 more for 7. I think that's all the slots we'll ever be able to get. So I think we need to keep 1 slot for BASF for sure. And then do I want to do that that engine company over here? We really should, because the prestige engines are going to also give throughput to our plantations by using the automatic irrigation, which I'm not using yet because, like, it's just way too expensive. It would ruin our profits, but I should save it for that, because that is going to actually tie into our stuff pretty well. Ironic now that I'm building the Statue of Liberty while we still have slavery. Although it's funny, the Statue of Liberty was it was gifted to the Americans by France. It wasn't built by the Americans, but I suppose that it'd be really frustrating if your ability to acquire it was based on the AI giving it to you instead of you being able to just build it yourself. So gameplay-wise, I get why you just make it. It does make sense. At this point, I really want to get laissez-faire because it would help a lot with using our investment pool efficiently. I'm thinking that we just pass that. The only problem with it is that it will mess up our monopolies. We can't have monopolies with laissez-faire. But I'm not too worried about that anymore. We ran the monopoly game for long enough that all of our companies that need monopolies have had the time to establish their power in that industry, and we don't need them to be guaranteed to only ever be able to build those now. So we can forego monopolies in return for laissez-faire, which will significantly improve how efficiently we build. Speaking of which, I have almost £1/3 billion pounds in the investment pool that I'm not using. So I decided to pause my construction queue. I'm going to pay off my debts, build up maybe a bit of a gold reserve, and just let the investment pool get drained, which even then, it's only draining 500,000. Is that each week or each month? I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's each week. So we still have quite a bit of time. 600 weeks is a long time. I think I did the math on that wrong. There's no way that's 600 weeks. It's like 60 weeks? I don't know, I can't do math. What's funny about this whole clout thing is that the Southern planters managed to have 18% clout after all these modifiers, all these massive modifiers, only 18%, while industrialists with only a handful of modifiers have 31%, which goes to show just how rich all of our capitalists must be. If you look at how they derive their clout, it's all from wealth, of course. We don't have elections, but they have an average of 26.1 on the industrialists, while on the Southern planters, I'm gonna assume it's a little bit lower. 19 on the planters, yeah, damn. We do have number 1 GDP now, which was to be expected, of course. But I've mentioned in previous videos before, but I find it actually quite impressive how well Britain does in most games. I still remember the era of Victoria 3 when the AI would very, very, very rarely ever breach 100 million GDP, and now the British tend to pull that off like relatively consistently and much further beyond that even. It's very nice to see the AI developing like that. I feel kind of bad by this point that a lot of the game is just sort of waiting around until we're strong enough to fight Germany. I probably could have pounced on them a while ago, actually, and just built up a bigger army rather than waiting for this high-quality army. My cat's sitting on the keyboard, sorry, hold on. But I don't know. I like to have overwhelming military force against my big enemies like Germany, this massive behemoth, right? Like, it's going to be very tough to defeat them. So I'd like to have a very secure victory. I do think it might be time to get rid of the king, though. Question is, are we gonna go with corporate state, or are we gonna go with like republic? I kind of want the corporate state, like not for any particular reason, just because it's unique, it's different, you know. So as much fun as it's been having Benjamin Davis around, his son Franklin Davis is a market liberal industrialist. That's funny, but no, I think we're gonna go to corporate state. We're gonna let we're gonna return to non-monarchical rule here. I wonder, will it be dictatorial or will it be parliamentary? Because if it's dictatorial, it means that we're not able to change rulers very often, but if it's parliamentary, then oh yeah, dude. Change rulers all the time. Damn, I love this. This is quite an interesting, like, anarchist commune place to be held, is the Great Hungarian Plain. Okay, that's the name of this, that's the name of this country. It's an anarchist nation, anarchist commune. 3 standard of living, so they're not doing so well here. And are they multicultural? Yes, they're multicultural, but don't pause the game, kitty. But they have like one culture. They're multicultural, but this is like if you grow up in a city that has only like that's a completely homogenous in terms of its like cultural makeup, but you like are very, very like you're very you act like you're appreciative of other people's cultures. You're like, yeah, like I really care about, you know, other people's cultures, but you've never met a single person that wasn't exactly what you are. That's like what this vibe is giving with multicultural Great Hungarian Plain with 92% Hungarian population. But yeah, they're doing terribly, and I imagine that's because they're on cooperative ownership, and they just, all their arable land has been eaten up by wine, and no one's buying the wine. So if you look at their workforce, they're probably not making like any money. So that's, you know, sucks for them. Oh well. But that's just a really funny place to have it. You'd think, given that they are in fact anarchists, and seeing that they're losing all of their prosperities, the fact that the wine is just taking up all the land, they would just like seize this stuff and then, you know, destroy it all. It's all owned by Britain, by the way, which is really funny. But I guess they're trying to be good, you know, they don't want to be mean, you know, I understand. They don't want to seize anything because that would be force, and you can't have that in an anarchist society, I understand. I'm number 1 GP, look at that. I don't even know how it happened, but I guess we beat Great Britain somehow. Oh, they lost control of India, that's why. Okay. I didn't notice that. They lost control of India. That's why they are no longer number 1 GP. Congratulations, Britain. The Pabrian epidemic in Suzhou. Oh no. The thing is, funnily enough, we have so much throughput that I get the feeling we're not actually going to be that heavily affected by the Pabrian epidemic. We're just going to like push through it. So we're still making 200,000 balance with the Pabrian epidemic. So yeah, I just don't really care that much about it. Might as well build more of this, I guess, though, because now more of it can be profitable. Let's just max it out. In fact, all the arable land, everything in Suzhou is now going to be used for silk. Screw it. Why not? There's corporate state. Now we're the United Scientific Associations. Okay, cool. Although we keep the American flag for that, which is weird. But this should swap around our stuff a little bit. Benjamin Davis is still our chief executive, I assume because we're a dictatorship, right? Yes, okay. I was hoping we'd actually not be a dictatorship, but that's okay. I think at this point, free trade is also going to be better than protectionism. We had used tariffs in the beginning of the game a little bit to try and encourage our pops to buy goods themselves instead of selling them overseas. But by now, I think I am going to just focus on making GDP, making trades. Also, we have our electricity now. Electric sewing machines, they immediately don't have enough. I should get subsidized this, fuck it. They don't have enough electricity here, so we'll build a bunch more, but we're going to make a ton of clothes now. Make a lot of electricity. Oh my goodness, we have to make a ton. You have to make an absolute ton to support this many textile mills, which I guess makes sense. Oh my goodness, it's so many. I'm waiting till the earnings starts to not stay super high, because that's how you know that the price is starting to sort of like cap out. How much does this make per bill? 25, okay. Need like 10,000 or something, didn't we? See, now it's starting to drain rapidly. So we know that we're hitting around where the price should be. So 250, sure. Now, subsidizing this textile mill is going to be extremely expensive, but watch the SOL go sky high when all the clothes are super cheap. I say that, it probably won't actually go that high, because this place is also probably going to start dropping wages like mad. I say as it begins to increase wages. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I don't even play this game, guys. Just a 15 SOL, average, across the whole country. While still having slavery, I should add, which puts us at number 20 in the world. Nothing too crazy, but not as low as you'd think if we check how much of our population is actually slaves. That's the political strength, sorry. 5% of the country is slave, 10 million slaves. I would have actually thought it would be a little bit more, but still that's a lot of slaves, to be honest. That's quite a lot. We're back to profitable on these textile mills. I can stop subsidizing them now, though it's not costing me anything to do so. And I guess I can stop subventing their outputs probably, although that might ruin their profitability again. Let's see. I'll just, we'll see. See how it goes. Looks like they're doing okay. Okay, they're losing some workers, but probably because they're competing for wages now. Like, I imagine they're going to want to go work at the tool mill or something. Here it comes, 3 weeks for chemical warfare. Here it comes. So chemical warfare is going to give us plus 20 offense flat, which is really strong. Very, very strong. Okay, great. Chemical warfare. Turn that on. And now we shall attack. Finally, I know it's been a while. Question is, I should attack Austria first and then go up to Moravia. We should do that instead. So let's take Venice because the aesthetics will be nicer. Yes, people will defend him, but that's okay. I want Venice, and then up through to Styria, up into Vienna. Took Marin first, but get me Vienna, or Austria, I guess it's called. And that's not even 100 infamy, so actually we're gonna chill. We're not gonna immediately go to 100. Let's not mobilize right away, because I don't want him to back down. In fact, let me add some war goals to make him not want to back down. Like humiliate, and we can do like, I don't know, liberate countries? No, we can't do that. Regime change? Yeah, that's funny. Regime change. Now, who's going to join? Probably people will join, right? Like Russia and stuff. Yeah, okay. I'm hoping Germany doesn't join. That's who I want to not join. It's the Germans. Because then it would give us a truce, but it looks like they might. I want to check in on the SOL of my slaves again, by the way. I really want to see if they're still living good lives down here. I mean, the impoverished 10. Yeah, actually, it's quite low. I would have thought maybe that, like, the rising tide would raise all boats, because our SOL is getting pretty high, but it seems like these slaves are kind of keeping to a low SOL. 14 is quite high for a slave. That's quite good. It seems like it's because they don't generate wealth. So one thing, we can actually talk now about the way that SOL is created. It comes from wealth is the main thing, but they don't generate wealth, right? So how do you upgrade the SOL of a slave even? I wonder. Like, I guess you actually can't really. Like, I'm gonna keep playing this playthrough and see how high we can get the average SOL to go, and if we can ever get the slaves to get higher SOL purely, just I don't even know if we can, because it might not be doable because they don't have a wealth number, which is the number that determines your SOL.
The way SOL increases or decreases can actually be imagined like a download progress bar. When income on a pop is positive, the progress bar slowly fills. It fills faster the more positive the income is. When it does fill, it resets and that pop gains 1 wealth, which is equivalent to 1 SOL. When income is negative, that bar empties slowly, and when it empties completely, it refills to some extent, and the pop loses 1 wealth, which is again equivalent to 1 SOL. I don't know things like how much it refills when they lose a wealth, or exactly how fast and how much income influences the speed at which the bar fills, but that's more or less how it works. Simple, right? This system would be well served with some UI to explain that, I've got to say, but that aside, this means that slaves basically can't gain standard of living outside of things like production methods, most of which lower SOL, and prestige goods, and of course healthcare. Prestige goods are purchased by their owners, but they still contribute SOL to the slaves when consumed. So in a way, you could run as many prestige consumer goods as possible and hope that they would stack up enough to get some SOL on your slaves. But that would be all you can do. There's no way I can think of to give slaves any income, except that theoretically welfare should apply to slaves because their wage is below the normal wage, given it's 0, but welfare simply doesn't apply to slaves. So how do we explain the disparity in standard of living of our different slave pops? If they can neither gain nor lose an income, they can't really gain or lose wealth, and thus can't gain or lose SOL. My theory is that the pop has a certain wealth number it either starts the game with, or which it has once it is enslaved. So, if an Azande pop arrives in Alabama with 10 wealth, it will always, forever, until freedom or death, have 10 wealth, and then we could add or subtract numbers based on things like violent treatment, healthcare, and so on to calculate the standard of living. That would be why some of these slaves have as much as 14 SOL, and others have only like 5. I can't confirm that that's how it works, but that's my best guess. With that, we do sort of solve the question of if we can create a society of rich slaves, and the answer is no, unless we did some kind of weird debt slavery system where we tried to ensure that the pops that got enslaved were somewhat wealthy, but I don't know how we'd even begin to do that, when considering that in debt slavery, pops get enslaved by having low wealth. But in all fairness, I don't know exactly how the system works. Could be that that's the way, I don't know. Regardless, let's resume this run with our work to create the ultimate clothing economy. Alright, we've occupied pretty much all of Austria now, and they should surrender pretty soon. It's going to be a very cursed border, but it'll be okay. And while this war is raging, I figure I might as well get the war for Germany going at this point. Let's do that. I'm going to conquer Bavaria, and Württemberg, and Baden. That's like the main one here. And since I'm here, I'm going to transfer Portugal, because Portugal's got a lot of Africa. Well, not a lot, but parts of it that I want to control. So I'm going to transfer Portugal. Although, nah, it's not. I was gonna say, nah, it's not really worth it, to be honest. Instead, why don't we just make the borders look a little bit nicer? Let me get Franken. We're gonna have like this sort of region down here. And then maybe I could grab Saxon as well. And in case you couldn't tell, we're just going max infamy at this point, by the way. I'm gonna maybe just dodge the humiliate and just, yeah, I want to regime change them for the meme, but here we go, end the war. Perfect. That does make 2 fronts, very unfortunately. Did Austria's capital get moved here, by the way? It did. So Austria is totally... I completely screwed Austria, because their market capital is in Bohemia, and they can't access any of their other stuff now. That's so messed up. I feel bad. Yeah, I think we have almost all the war goals at this point. We just need to occupy Saxon and Baden at this point. And I love how they have so much army over here, like trying to push so badly, but they just can't get through the wall of American troops. Here comes the end of the war. We're gonna kind of like wrap around Bohemia. It's gonna look kind of funny, I think. Look at that. That does look kind of funny, doesn't it? So apparently we're in some war. Okay, I guess we have to go deal with that. And we of course need to immediately integrate Baden and the rest of it too, because why not? Baden should be a little bit faster. No, it should be the same. Yeah, 11 years. Okay. So we're gonna get these last set of companies kind of like in the last moments of the campaign, but no big deal. I suppose we can invade Britain at this point, although I think we have a truce because we have that defensive pact for a bit. So maybe after the truce is up? No, it's already up because it probably wasn't very long. Okay, well in that case, might as well just invade Britain since we're going max infamy anyway. I should definitely transfer Canada. That would be very, very good. Everybody loves Canada. Canada is actually really good in this game because of all the lumber. Lumber is a very nice resource to have, and you do get a lot of it if you take Canada. Crazy how laggy the game gets, by the way, because I think because the AI has all these tiny little armies that they're moving around constantly, so the game gets really laggy with all the computations, I guess.
Kind of funny. Okay, Britain's gone. And now they still need to transfer AUSA to actually tick me out. That's funny. So Britain's out of the war. That's good. I think I just need to prevent the independence of the American Congo at this point. There's a billion GDP, by the way. Woohoo! It's not my first time getting a billion GDP, by the way. I got the achievement because the achievements always fire, pretty much. But I've gotten a billion GDP before, rest assured. I'm being ticked down. Oh no! I have to get control of the American Congo's land to stop getting ticked down. And there we go. I think I'm good now. Okay. Saved. White peace. See you later, buddies. See you later, boys. There you go. Okay, we're free. I think at this point we'll stay at peace. No need to go to war anymore. We're good. We're good now. We have the stuff that we need.
Alright, so let me not waste more of your time here. The rest of this run is just waiting for the incorporations on those states so I can make the companies, and then finishing up the build with their respective prestige goods. Let's just get to that point and skip to the incorporations of Bonn and Moravia, then look at how we make the companies prosperous, and then take a look at the insane throughput and profits on all of our businesses.
Okay, so how long is it going to take to get prosperity? It's going to take a little bit for it to tick up, but otherwise it should only be a couple years till we get the prosperity. That'll give us the prestige goods. Then we can maybe give it a couple more years then for everything to percolate, and then we take a look at our buildings, finally. But look at how slow the game is running. Oh my goodness. Oh man. You guys better be happy with this one, man. I'm putting in the work on this video, okay? I better get a lot of likes and subscribes, or else. Let me check the culture map again. See how this is looking. Everything's been mostly Yankified by this point, because the power of assimilation is quite strong over here in America. So they've been mostly assimilated by now. Although New Mexico is still Mexican. How cute. And of course Indiana. The one place, the Chinatown of the whole country. And also Canadian Kansas. They won't give up either. Yeah. That's fun. We're exporting 56,000 clothes. Oh my goodness. How is the world market looking? I'm assuming I'm like the master of exports. Yeah, I'm kind of killing it. And Taiping is also importing a lot. Alright. Managing these like ultra late game economies can always be difficult. It's definitely something. Socialist demagogue. Abner Morgan? He's a vanguardist. Oh. Wow. Oh, he must be an agitator. Okay, rare vanguardist agitator. You don't see those very often. Please, can you get 200 prosperity? Oh my goodness. The fact that it's based on productivity is always so weird to me. Can I maybe just kill this guy? Can you get out of here? There, this guy's popular, so now we can actually get prosperity. Thank you. How about the dyes? Yeah, they're working their way up. Okay. I do kind of hate that it's prosperity or productivity based for prosperity. I feel like it really should be profit based. But maybe that's because it's too easy then? It's too easy to just stack up profits? I don't know. Because I don't think companies, well, they do aim for productivity, but it's always because productivity tends to go hand in hand with profits. It's not because productivity is inherently worthwhile. But it's fine. Okay, there we go. 10% throughput on power plants and textile mills, and we now have prestige engines. Which is crazy. Should see the GDP spike because of that a little bit. More throughput. You're good. And now we just need to wait for the prestige dyes. I'm not going to bother renaming the prestige goods at this point, by the way. Oh, a historical character, William Dubois. Okay. Afro-American Social Democrat. Didn't think we'd see any more historical characters at this point, but I guess they still do exist. It's funny that, so aniline is like an artificial dye, from what I understand. And we're going to be making it with like natural dye plantations, which is funny. Probably shouldn't work that way, but oh well. Here it comes, just another 2 weeks for the prosperity. Then I believe we'll have like, the only thing we'll be missing is we won't have like prestige tools, because your textile mills use tools. They also use electricity, and there's no prestige electricity in the game. So we do have some precision tools apparently out there in the market somewhere, but there's our German aniline, putting us to 159% throughput on the textile mill. That's pretty crazy. And the funny thing is, it's almost kind of anticlimactic how, like, it isn't really that good, to be honest. Like, it's funny to stack up all the modifiers, but going this hard into just one particular, like, field, I guess you could say one particular like supply chain, isn't as good as trying to be relatively good at many supply chains. Like if you look at our companies, Carnegie is probably going to be one of the most profitable ones in the entire nation. Yeah, 4.94 million compared to like 3 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, almost 3 million and another million. Carnegie is just like really good, right? And it would have been smarter, for example, to get Ford or something, but it's just funny to try this out. I want to look at those cotton plantations now. Let's see how they're doing. Almost 200% throughput. I don't know how we can get more at this point. I think this is pretty much all that we can get. Like we need to. There's no. I guess if we do this, this could increase throughput. Yes, it does. And then we can get like. If our executive, so our executive is already experienced entrepreneur and ambitious, which is one of the best combos you can have, by the way. This is a like legendary CEO. If he gets, I think there's another tier of entrepreneur, maybe, plus ambitious that gets you even more. But I think that's as far as it's gonna go. I'm pretty sure. I don't know though. Maybe there are ways to get to 200%, but I'm pretty sure that's the max. Like, there must be more companies that have cotton throughput bonuses that maybe we could use, but then we might not be able to get the prestige engines. And it's like, okay, there are ways to perhaps get even more out of it. But regardless, if we look at the actual like slaves working here, they're all still at 11 SOL, and it's like, okay, we could turn off the violent treatment, I guess, to maybe make it a little better for them. Let's do that. Let's have a great show of mercy and turn off all of our. We can't. I forget we have slave trade, so we can't even turn it off. We have to be mean. We have no choice. We could start banning slavery at this point, but we only have like 10 years left in the game, and I'm like done playing. I'm done now. I don't want to play anymore. We're gonna let the game run for probably another year or so, and just kind of see how everything lands once we finish these like cars in Indiana, and that'll be it. There's no more company slots we can get. These are the max number of companies you can have is 7. So. We're just like, this is our build. We're done now. I'm glad now that I didn't make Colt back in the day, but remember when I was thinking of making Colt? If I had done that, I wouldn't have had space for both the Prestige engines and the Prestige dies. When I planned out this run, what I had in mind, like the companies I was thinking of, was the Lee Wilson and Company, the Suzhou Silk Company, the Brazilian Clothes Company, the United Fruit, and the Aniline from this one. I did not think about the engines because it's true that the plantations do use engines, and I was like, oh crap, yeah, we can add that on. I didn't think of that at the time, but it ended up working out pretty nicely. I remember thinking like I have a couple flex spots for companies, and I definitely was going to use Carnegie because you can't not use Carnegie when you play in America. It's too powerful. And then maybe I was going to do something like Colt or maybe like whatever. I didn't know what I was going to use, but I'm glad with how this ended up working out. This is an unsustainable budget, by the way, but it just doesn't matter because the game's ending so soon. It's like how I have this commitment to create staple crops. I have no intention of doing this. I'm just going to announce a delay. And we will fail this before the game ends, but I'm not playing until the game ends, so it doesn't matter. Damn, the automotive industry is working pretty well here. Let's build even more of those then. People seem to really enjoy having cars. In terms of how to get more SOL by this point, we would want to just like pay more attention to where there are peasants and then try to employ them. That's literally all it is at this point. It's just like make the peasants not be peasants. But like I said, I can't be bothered. I think that's what we're going to call it. It's March 24th, 1925. The Egyptians have once again asked for increased autonomy. I'm going to be nice. You know what? You can have it, buddy. There you go. We're going to call it here. I think I'll probably do like not off camera. That sounds stupid, but like tomorrow morning. I'm going to go to bed now because it's like midnight. Tomorrow morning, I will take a look at some of the stats of the game, and my cat just shook all of her hair all over me. I'll look at some of the stats of the game and kind of give some summaries of some of the highlights and all that, but definitely a fun playthrough, definitely very fun. Alright, so obviously all the numbers are kind of weird because our economy's in a bit of a weird place where we're using subsidies to kind of keep things afloat, but thankfully we can see the throughput numbers regardless, and I again emphasize how this is a more or less ineffective tactic we've done here, but getting 159% throughput on the textile mill, regardless of how effective it is, I just find to be impressive for like needing to stack up all the modifiers. If we add them all up, it comes mostly from the companies and their executives and the economy of scale.
Then we have a little bit of a bonus from the actual companies that have prosperity bonuses that help out, so plus 20% more from other companies that are adding bonuses. And then of course we have encouraged manufacturing industry and some timed modifier. I don't know what that refers to. I guess we must have gotten one of those events when you have the increased throughput decrease down, they give you an event here and there. So that's pretty good. More impressively is we have the cotton plantations, which we looked at earlier, 190%. I was thinking overnight about what things you could do to possibly get it to 200%. The answer would be to have a president or king or whatever that is himself a entrepreneur, because entrepreneur, if I remember right anyway, it also gives bonuses if you're the ruler. So if this guy was, if we had something like Robert E. Lee Wilson as the executive with 7% throughput, and as the ruler for 5% more company throughput, then we would be at like 195%. And then for 5% more, there are several options. You could just wait for one of the temporary modifiers that can trigger. So I think right now we don't have one. So if we got the random event from having the agriculture decree down, that would put it to 200%. In fact, that would do it right now if we had 190%. You could also hunt down for another company to get it up there. But basically, somewhere around 200 to 215%-ish is probably the highest it can ever go. There may be more. I know that when you play as the Confederate States of America and you win the Civil War, there's an event that gives you a temporary bonus of something like 10% throughput to all cotton, but that's a very niche modifier and you wouldn't be able to get it like quickly enough. It wouldn't last long enough, rather, is how I should put it. Beyond that, the other big highlight for interesting businesses is the Indiana automobiles, and this kind of just goes to show how focusing in on the one particular industry, which in this case was textiles, really isn't as effective as keeping it varied. I mentioned it in the video, but variation is very powerful in this game. You want to have some specialization, but you don't want to have total specialization. This is actually even better showed off when we look at like the furniture in the same state down here in Georgia. So with only 80% throughput, we still have 400,000 weekly profits. Like, that's only a little bit less than the textile mills. It's not like it's a crazy difference. So therefore, you know, it wasn't worth it. In terms of how much each of these companies is garnering us in terms of like revenue, it would have been a lot better probably to just, you know, get a couple more fields out there and do all those, especially when it comes to things like tools. Having prestige tools is really, really strong, and missing out on that really sucks. Also, we do have an inept company guy apparently, so that kind of sucks. Beyond that, I mean, explosives did pretty well. Everything is doing quite well down here in the south because we have a lot of throughput bonuses, but trouble we're running into mostly is just things like our productivity. So as wages get higher and higher, which is caused by having a higher standard of living, you end up with less and less productivity on the, well, not less and less productivity per se, more productivity but less profit. And without profit, they can't employ as much. And you see we have 198,000 unemployed people here. It's probably because places like this kind of, they're having trouble keeping high enough profits to justify hiring more people. And the answer, of course, is to use like assembly lines and stuff, but that requires electricity, and I hate using electricity, as I'm sure you know by now. Stuff like logging camps, I mean, these are doing totally fine. We put chainsaws on it, we put the rail log carts on it, and it's doing very well because we're able to use the labor-saving production methods here, but in other cases you might not be able to. I'm trying to think of what other interesting stuff there was. I guess the dye plantations, I mentioned it in the video as well, but the fact that we're growing aniline doesn't make any sense, because aniline is of course a like artificial dye. But it's just funny to imagine that they are in fact growing the artificial dye here. This building's doing very well, mostly propped up by the demand which is created by our textile industries, I'm going to assume. Yes, it sure is. That's a lot of, in fact, over half of it is just the ones locally here. The fact that we concentrate everything in one state helps a little bit with the profits because of this market access price impact number. This number only applies when goods move between states, so the fact that we're mostly purchasing the dyes in the state where they're being made means that we're not taking as much of a inefficiency, like malice, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this playthrough is how I want to summarize. I know that was kind of a random jump there, but this was pretty fun to play out, yeah, if only for the roleplay and the LARP and stuff. The Jefferson Davis Emperorship was really, really funny to me. I'm going to probably use that as like a meme in my head for a long time. In terms of our politics, we ended up having a fascist coup in the, I didn't show it in the video because it was just kind of pointless, but there was like a fascist coup that happened, and that's why we have Newton Whitcomb here as a fascist ruler. And I was thinking we could go down that path, but The industrialists are just so strong that I don't think they'll ever be dethroned. Funnily enough, this industrialist is a basic entrepreneur, so having him as the ruler, at least once he upgrades to the experienced entrepreneur trait, would be best. But it doesn't matter. It's just a small thing. It's kind of whatever. I was thinking about trying to get these journal entries to complete because I so rarely ever complete them. I don't actually know off the top of my head what the organized majority and what the 4-year plan do, but it's like, I don't know. This run kind of, I enjoyed it, but I grew tired of it after some time because the meme of the high SOL for the slaves kind of died. I really wanted that to work out, but unfortunately, like, it just doesn't because of how slaves gain standard of living. If you look at this guy, his wealth is just 11, and it's never going to change because he has no income or expenses. So he's just kind of chilling here, I guess. But the meme of the full textile economy did kind of carry even after this didn't work out. Regardless, though, that's that. There aren't really any interesting industries going on. I mean, over in California, I think I built some stuff, but it's kind of just more cars. I mean, when you're in the late game, cars are just kind of insanely good, so you just build them everywhere. But not like, I guess the oil, there's a big oil company. Well, not a company, but a big oil building. It's got insane throughput. Like, everything has insane throughput by this point because the economy of scale is huge and we can put decrees down and so on. But I think beyond that, I think we're done here. Thanks for watching the video. I know it was a long one. I hope you appreciated it. There's more content to come, of course. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all that. You know all the stuff people say to do. I'm done with this run now, okay? I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.